Welcome to the AFR Saints channel, where we provide you daily content on your favorite team, the New Orleans Saints. Do us a favor and hit that subscribe button. Be sure to leave your comments below and smash that like button. Who dat? We'll start with the Saints Texans. New Orleans on the road in Houston. Saints coming off a win on the road in New England, 34-0. Really the best that they've looked so far this year. Complete defense was great, 17 points off of turnovers. And the offense got churning a little bit in this game. You're going on the road to face the Texans and C.J. Stroud. Third in the NFL in passing offense, the Texans are. Houston just 2-3 on the season. They're 1-1 at home. They lost tough way for Stroud to start. Right? Lost at the Ravens to open up the season, and then they lost at home to the Colts. They won in Jacksonville, where they put up 37 points on the Jags. They beat the Steelers at home 30-6. When that offense gets going, it's real. But last week, a disappointing loss at Atlanta, 21-19. They looked like they had it won. Stroud threw what looked to be the game-winning touchdown pass, just left too much time on the clock, and the Falcons went down. Younghoe Koo ends up hitting the walk-off game-winning field goal. So now the Texans return home to take on the New Orleans Saints. Mr. The Riot, what do you think?
Everybody's making a big deal about C.J. Stroud, and he's had a great season so far. I haven't locked in on all these games, but I have seen a little bit of the Texans play, and Stroud's done a good job. He hasn't seen a defense like New Orleans yet. Okay, and there has been 4 or 5 passes that I've seen that could have easily been intercepted. He had a dropped one last week that hit what's his name right in the hands. So I like New Orleans in this. I think New Orleans defense is going to give him some problems. And I look for the Saints defense to really kind of take this one over, similar to that like they did last week, and there's going to be some points put up on that side of the ball.
Saints are a 2-point favorite in the game, and I think that feels about right. I know the Saints went on the road and put up 34, but again, that was against a New England team where you had 17 points off of turnovers. And you capitalized. Look, you got a defensive touchdown. But remember how that game started, man. It started feeling a lot like you were just magnifying the issues that we had seen to that point already in the season. And then Tyron gets the pick six, and it just felt like the shackles came off. Like this burden came off of your shoulders, and you were able to play a little more freely with a lead, and the defense came through the way they did. I was reminded that a year ago, the Saints, maybe their most complete performance was a shutout win at home against Oakland. Derek Carr and the Raiders, Las Vegas. It was 24-0. The week after that loss, the week after that win against the Raiders was maybe their worst performance of the year. They lost 27-13 to Baltimore at home. So the problem that the Saints had a year ago is kind of the thing that I foresee for this team. It's the 1 step forward, 2 steps back. The way that you become a playoff team and a good team in the NFL is consistency. Is you find a way to string together 4, 5, 6 good performances. You go on these winning streaks, right? That's how you end up above 500, and that's how you end up making the playoffs and ultimately winning in the playoffs. But that's what they haven't been able to do the past 2 seasons. And barring something, that shows me they can do that, it's hard to predict that happening. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know that I've seen anything that suggests to me that's going to happen. D'Amico Ryan's a great defensive coach. He's got the defense playing well in Houston. And yes, I do believe C.J. Stroud is playing at a very high level. I agree with you, this is the best defense he's going to face. But he's already played Baltimore. Yep. He's already played Pittsburgh. Went on the road against Atlanta, and they are much improved. I think they got the wrong team favored. The Saints are a 2-point favorite in this game. I think they got the wrong team favored. I think Houston should be favored. I do think it comes down to, it's a fourth quarter game. It's a final possession type game. Unfortunately, I kind of like the Texans at home in this game, in a bounce back spot for them after having to go on the road and losing to Atlanta. So I think the Texans win a close game in Houston. My hope is it's the Saints with that last possession, and they give Blake Grupe another. I would love to see a situation where Blake Grupe gets another chance at a game-winning field goal, because Blake Grupe has been awesome. Rating special teams, NFC Special Teams Player of the Week, 2 field goals for more than 50 yards this past weekend. But the one we remember is the one he missed in Green Bay. Yeah. A minute left, you make that field goal.
It's a different story right now.
I mean, maybe Jordan Love goes and leads a game-winning drive the way that the way that it happened last week in Atlanta, but at least you would have given your team the lead with a minute to go, and it would have been 20-18. Instead, you lose that one 18-17. And that's the one we remember, is the fact that he missed the potential game-winning kick. So I would love to see Blake Grupe have an opportunity at a pressure kick that he can make it. And boy, I think that would be a catalyst for this team, because I do like the Saints against Jacksonville at home on Thursday. The quick turnaround, and I just love home teams on Thursday Night Football. It's hard to play in the NFL in that quick turnaround, especially on the road. All the metrics bear that out. So if the Saints could get this one on Sunday and get a win at home against Jacksonville, now you're talking about 3 in a row. You're above 500, and you've given yourself some breathing room. So I would love to see the Saints have that opportunity to go win this one in Houston. It's hard for me to pull the trigger.
The amount of pressure that I think having Alvin Kamara back on the field, both running the ball and catching the ball out of the backfield, it takes off of the quarterback, and the boost and shot in the arm that it gives that offense. I think it over 20 touches last week. You saw the difference he made in the burst that he had. I mean, I think you see that increase. And then Michael Thomas, the intermediate route, starting to catch the ball. I think the Saints, you say you haven't really seen. I mean, I think we've kind of downplayed the importance of that guy because he hasn't been there. I mean, AK is a dynamic playmaker, heck of a player.
The most interesting thing about Kamara last week was the 22 carries, because when the Saints offense was at its best, Kamara and Ingram were splitting the load. When Mark Ingram left, of course, and then they had Latavius Murray for a bit, but they kind of struggled for
Murray present.
They struggled to find that complementary piece, and Kamara did have to shoulder so much because they didn't have a complementary piece in the running game. And what we saw was AK broke down. And that's what's happened to him the past few years. He's had to carry the ball 20, 25 times a game, and then you see that residual effect. So, running him 22 times last week, taking the pressure off of your passing game, was the right game plan against that team in New England that had no offense, especially against your elite level defense. I don't know if that's the approach this week, because I think C.J. Stroud is dynamic enough to move the football and score. So we'll see. Again, I think they got the wrong team favored. I think Houston maybe a slight lean in this one, but I would love an opportunity for Blake Grupe to go get a game-winning kick and maybe catapult this team, because if they do get this one, I think they win on Thursday night against Jacksonville and string together 3 in a row. That would be huge for this team. Hey, thanks so much for watching. Please leave your comments. I love to interact, and be sure to hit the red subscribe button below.